Hello, welcome back. Today we're looking at the upcycling of the record sleeve that was voted on the previous video as the one of the most interest. So the record's still in it. Once you take the record out, it's the holes right through. It's a craft paper that's printed, quite sturdy. And then this one's green, again, same design. This one's got some text on the back. Let's start. So having thought of records and record sleeves, I thought, what about a greatest hits sampler? So if you have really nice stamps or really nice fabric or something like that, just send it off. So this is a sheet of craft sticker paper, white sticker paper. These are individual price labels. You should see the lines. I'm using the records at all. I'll only use them as templates to cut. So we're going to cut them to size and then start layering up some stamps for a greatest hits stamp disc. What I also want to do is just close up the gap with something see-through or slightly opaque. So this is a vellum, printed vellum, same as that. This is a sheet of transparency offcut. I'm going to stamp that with stays on and cut it to size and see how that looks. So I just measured the aperture and then used a compass. I had to think very long for the English word, an Afrikaans word, passer, just to do the circumference, and then I added about 1 centimeter so that it has a little lip to glue into, and then you can just cut your vellum to size. And so I've cut out 2 vellum circles. I don't have enough of the printed one, so that will be the front. The other one's a plain one. I'm stamping. I chose a stamp with a circle motif because I think it'll fit the shape, and I'm using stays on for the vellum because otherwise it smudges easily. To get the design right, I'm turning the stamp upside down and placing the vellum accordingly, and then just rubbing over the vellum to get a nice clear stamp, keeping in mind that there's a little border where your glue will go. So that stamps quite nicely. To close the back, I've also now cut 2 transparency sheets or acetate sheets, and I'll do the same. I'll stamp a design on them, again a circle design, so that the stamp shows up nicely in the opening. So that stamps very nicely, as you can see how it will overlay. With the transparency, you could probably also do freehand doodling. That would also work very well with a permanent marker. So I've drawn the shape of the disc. This is on, you can see they're very narrow little labels. So the idea with this is that you freehand stamp regardless of where the lines are. So you'll end up with something like this. So the background was done and then text over it and sprayed and things, but every little stamp actually looks different. So we're hoping to achieve a background sheet like that on these labels. So I'm going to start just blending in some background. I'm trying to go for colors that match the actual sleeve that I'm going for. No real rules and plans here, and you can mix as you go. So I've blended some colors. Don't shoot me, I'm not the best blender, but it's to go with this. And now we start stamping. So I've pulled out a selection of stamps, big designs and small designs. Text always works well, and I'll always go for florals. I love florals. Also stamping with some pearlescent inks. They don't add a lot of weight, but they do add a tiniest little shimmer on the page. So this one's came out very bold, but I triple stamped some of them so that there's layers in color. Remember, you're not seeing this as one thing. each of these stickers gets peeled off and gets a tiny slice of the design. I've also layered up some colours, so there's some green, there's some brown, there's some yellow, and then there's some metallics. Looking at it now, it looks incredibly messy, but remember they intended to be used as single strips. So I've glued in the vellum on the one side and the stamp design on the other. I've cut the sticker sheet to size. And that acts as our first greatest hits disc. The next disc is the same, except this is a single sheet, so it pulls off as one big sticker. So the stamps on here are meant to be fussy cut. So use stamps that are easy to fussy cut and hand color or something like that. If you do have a stamping platform, this will probably be a good space to use it, because then you know you don't go over areas you've already stamped. I'm using a VersaFine because it picks up detail very, very nicely. So first up is a little gorgeous girl. Remember, this is not for selling. This is for private use. So that's quite an easy cut. Labels do well, tags, flowers, most of your sticker sheets. So, and then you can do a background, you can even color it in. I'm just not so great with it, so I'm just leaving it as is. It's a whole mix of things, there's no theme. Some words, things for backgrounds. So that's cut to size, greatest hit number 2. I mean, cutting it in a circle is just a bit of a novelty. And then my last greatest hit sampler, this is like a cardstock sticker. So I've traced the circle. The idea is these are sticker sheets and they can be used as background papers. I bought these, but to recreate something like this with collage and stamping and maybe some watercolor onto this. I'm not sure how much water the sticker paper will take, so let's have a look at what we can do. I'm continuing just to layer up like a collage, so stamps, little fragments of paper. I've stamped over that. I've used some of the distress crayons in this colorway. The only thing that I am doing between each layer of Mod Podge. I normally use gel medium, except I left it downstairs. Is after applying it, I take a baby wipe that's dry, put it over, and I brayer it. That gives a very flat surface, and the baby wipe absorbs whatever's excess, because I don't want the sticky backing to be affected. I learned this technique from Alma. Hello Alma from Namibia, thank you for showing us your wonderful decoupage technique. It works fantastically on fabric, on paper, on anything really. It gives a really nice effect to brayer with the baby wipe between applications. And if you're looking at something and saying, oh, that's much too big, just lay it over, because you're cutting out, and then you just get a fragment of it, which also gives a very interesting effect. I've got a little coffee die cut label here. This was from Desiree. Thank you, Desiree. And I'm going to stamp a whole selection of little words on, so that can be part of the background to cut around. So that's just a label with like a Dymo embossed label. Stamp hits, I mean, call it whatever you want. This is a full craft sticker, so the whole thing can be used as a background. It's just collaged snippets. I did coat it in a podge, so it can be cut or torn or whatever. This is for fussy cutting. individual stickers to peel off, and then you get snippets of the background. The second sleeve is the one with little acetate, stamped acetate insert, and for this I've just done fabric hits. So it's a doily, some linen, normal calico, and this is scrapbooking paper that I put bridal netting over. So there's a very slight texture and it's slightly stiffer. All of these have been starched with corn flour. I'll put the recipe down in the description. So what happens is it can behave like paper. So that's, it folds, it keeps its shape. And you can do some interesting things. The same with a doily. You can hear the crack. It's all starched. So it can, if you cut it, it doesn't fray. It can be a tuck spot, anything like that. It can wrap around as a page. It just gives it a slight bit of difference, and the same with this, all starch. So it's hard. You can stamp over this too. It takes stamping very well. And it's just it's a corn flour starch. So it's corn flour and water that you boil basically. So that'll be a fabric greatest hits. It's just a novel way of sharing something that you already have samples with whoever you're sending stuff to. So that's a 2 record sleeves upcycled. I kept the record sleeves themselves very, very plain because the graphics are quite nice and it's quite a nice paper. This one's printed at the back. Again, it shows what it is, but you could have covered that if you wanted to. And then the little bit of interest comes by whatever you do with the aperture, in this case vellum and stamped acetate. Thank you.